It is Sacred Saturday. So out here in this beautiful outdoor space, and we're about to talk about evolution. What's poppin'? Hello, hello. Let's see. Hey,
Hey, what's going on, Erinesha?
how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good.
What's
Chilling.
up? Where you out there in nature, huh?
Yeah,
What we got going on this sacred Saturday?
I'm
With
over
the
here.
elements, look like you're in the Garden of Eden. Where you at?
That's what we over here creating them garden vibes. I'm at the Slick House in Gainesville. So I've been working on the
Or,
front yard, the backyard. My ambassador's been really coming through and helping. So we've been getting a lot done. And it's been like, I want to do flowers and stuff in the front and food type stuff in the backyard. So it's really good.
okay, we got the farm. That's what's up. Very organic.
New
Very,
world.
word. That's what's up with it. Yeah, how you been? How's your whole energy and vibe been? I know you've been one props because you've been going hard. And you've been doing this before the quarantine, but particularly these last couple of weeks, you've had a full 7 week live schedule. And it ties into the various forms of wealth, and yeah, you really been so. Share
Yeah.
how's that? How have you been uplifted, and how have your people been uplifted during that time period?
Oh my God, the world done messed up, Marcellus, by giving me all this free time.
Yeah,
All I did was for people to sit down around, for me to be able to really like sit down and hone in on like the direction, like find clarity. It's really been like learning new things too, like learning my relationships with books and reading. So it's really been a lot. And like you said, this is my life. Even though I'm very active and I'm very like fast paced and uh very, out there and social, I still have a really good balance with being able to be, to myself and knowing how to turn inwards or when to turn inwards. So in the beginning of this, it took a lot of that, like turning inwards and really diving deeper. But then when I came into balance and came into harmony of like what was really going on, I was really able to like pack my brain with knowledge and spend my time being productive and learning, how I would operate if this was everyday life. So I feel like it's been super productive. I've been having to spend a lot of time, coaching my team and everything through everything because when you got people around you that are practicing and are, trying to deepen their knowledge on like that self time, then I have to coach to that. So it was a lot of pouring and filling and pouring and filling.
word. Okay, yeah. What's been your greatest revelation during this time?
My biggest what? What was the
Re
question?
your greatest revelation during this time where you've been thinking, you've been pouring, you've been sowing, you've been reaping, you've been doing a lot, and it's a real it's a different time period, I think, on a lot of different levels, whether one breaks it down spiritually or even, society wise, digital wise, and just, health wise in terms of the shifts and how people being affected. It's a lot going on, and even within, our culture in particular, a lot of different ways to dissect what's, called a pandemic. So in a nutshell, it's chaos in a certain way, but with the things that you do, you're built, particularly through your wellness and a lot of your lifestyle to find that balance, during the best of times, during the worst of times. Like there's a balance, there's a absolute goodness that you learn to tap into. So in doing that, mind, body, and spirit, like what's been the biggest revelation for you, or aha moment, um, that you think coming out of here, when you look back 10 years from now, you'll be like, I learned that. Like, or I was touched in that way.
I definitely feel like the biggest was I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Was the biggest revolution of like all of it. It was like I've taken a lot and a lot to take in, but I think the biggest was I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I say that because I talk to a lot of people younger than me and older than me. So I can really have a good understanding of like the whole and where I am on like the time factor of things, if you want to factor
Mhm.
in time. But I really have gotten into the mindset of, we have ultimate time. We have to complete our mission, whatever we're here for. So I think just really coming into the acknowledgement of I'm where I'm supposed to be, even when I'm frustrated with where I am, if the day wasn't as good as, what I feel like I've been manifesting, or if something didn't happen that I feel like was supposed to be happening, or a relationship or a friendship didn't work, and I feel like I had all the purest of intention. So everything across the board in scheme of things, even with the whole universal perspective, with the world having to sit down somewhere and everybody having to be inside, like
Mhm.
everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to happen because the people that needed this situation to be pushed over the edge of their awakening or their awareness, that happened. I think a reveal, a curtain lifting of understanding that what people think is the big man on campus, not the big man on campus, and the problem that we really have is the culture,
Mhm.
and how we could
Mhm.
really take this ultimate was now a balance of everything and really elevate where we know we are meant to be. So I think just realizing that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be and knowing that I have all the time I need to complete what I'm here to do has been my biggest revelation.
Wow, that's powerful, and I think for me, the probably, and there have been a lot of different revelations I've had, but the most powerful one is my redefinition of success. And I think
Mm,
right now, so many things are being redefined, and then individually, you have to redefine what that means for yourself, and the world is figuring that out too. But for me, success is experiencing the miraculous. Like that's my most powerful revelation. And every day, particularly over the past couple of weeks, I've been able to identify something miraculous that has happened. Even there were some people in my personal family that have been affected, with the virus, and
mm,
things have really hit the fan, and it pulled, a lot of spiritual strength. It pulled a lot of other resources to figure it out and to see them come out recovering and well, and a lot of factors that could have been heightened and fatal to be minimized, like that was miraculous. And so I got a front row seat, to that. I think there's certain businesses that I work with that, and I don't care if you're a $1 billion business, I don't care if you just started your business, like this can be a very tumultuous time, where it's a big challenge. So there are many businesses that I work with, including my own, that can be very much at risk. And what I've
yeah,
seen over these past couple of weeks are certain businesses miraculously break through and tap into a whole nother realm of greatness and of service. So whether it's, even like your platform, you create more of a digital space, with the IG lives. So many have done that. I think a super dope blueprint has been what the DJ D Nice has done over this time period. And he's been able to, in so many ways, tap into a greater sense of like, I'm going hard for you. And so even, like last week, I was doing some work at like 1:45 in the morning. I was like, let me go ahead on Instagram, see what's up. And he had a live going on. And I was like, really? And I tapped in on it, and he was just going in. It was like a couple thousand people. It wasn't his 100,000, audience, that he's been tapping into, but he was playing some Prince, and I was like, this dude don't play. Like he's great, and I think he's probably benefiting more than any other DJ because he's giving more of himself, and he's
yeah,
doing it. He's not throwing his cash app out there. He's not overly, trying to get people to buy these products and merch or anything. He really has music in his heart, and I think that we're redefining what service means, to go above and beyond just to share content with people, just to make people feel empowered in ways and to give whatever gift we have. So like doctors are on the front lines right now, but I think all of us are like doctors and wellness, purveyors in so many ways because we're actually um, giving more of ourselves and finding that that's the process to prosperity. However you break it down, like how we do, whether it's financial, whether it's health wise or whether it's emotional wise, well state of being, so I think that's dope, but I think success all across the board is just so many things that you can look at right now and be like, wow, like the universe is really something else. And I'm really, like you said, you found out that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like, which
Mhm.
means that you got everything that you need right now. There's nothing that you're searching for that's on the other side of the city or the country, or the world. Like you got all of that in you. So that's like a powerful process and realization that you can have. So even share with me, like from a universal standpoint, and we have the same making. Like I think when people get into evolution and what all of that means to me, it's like amazing, crazy stuff happens, and you're like one with that. And the evolution ultimately is like forward movement, forward progress. And to be a part of that and to know that whatever's happening, you're evolving. So even during this time period with your business, with your spirituality, with your lifestyle, it's all going forward. And things have to sometimes break, to go forward. So when you even say a revolution, that's like re-evolution. So re is like to go backwards and do something again in a different way. And so revolution is to like evolve and to take this entire process of continuously creating and going forward and do it again in a different way. And so I think that's powerful. But what does that mean for you? Like if you tell me I found out I'm where I'm supposed to be, then that means you're as rich as you need to be, as can be. Like because we all want what's best. So that means in some sort of way, and you mentioned even time. Time is we're finding out time may be the greatest currency. So you
Right.
can be a gazillionaire when it comes to time. Like you get to choose right now to be out in the Garden of Eden behind you, plant farms, do yoga, do coaching sessions, mentor people, come up with new product ideas, meditate, like all that's like that's a form of like and you living and you looking super healthy, you're glowing, so like what's better than that? Somebody can have $1 billion and be in their final hour, sick in a deathbed. So like, there's a lot that you have going on, and you're saying you have that right now. So like, share what does that mean even more for you to have everything that you need for you to be where you need to be? What does that mean like in your journey?
I really think what helped me with this like awareness or this acknowledgement of is when we sat down in our last meeting and you told me about the 7 types of wealth. When like I I never like seen it like that. Like I felt very, rich or okay in other ways, but even though it was not always financial, I didn't feel like I was ever broke. So when we sat down and you gave me those 7 different types of wealth, I was like that like opened my eyes and I realized that probably 5 out of 7 I was super full, like full and overflowing.
Mm,
And
mm,
if I just let a little bit of that overflow in the other two, and that's just about being a little bit more clear about what it was that I wanted at the end of the day or what I desired. And then I can get to the clarity of like what it would take to kind of fill those 2 categories. But when I did that, that's kind of what really set, and I never been the materialistic type of person. I love nice things. I love to shop.
mm,
I like nice cars. I want to go eat some good food. So I like, living like that, but I also know how to live in moderation. And that too
mm,
even feels really good. And I'm used to that. And that feels like home. That feels, very natural and organic for me. So being able to bring that to my platforms is what I also realized I wanted to do over this down period of time. I feel like during this downtime, by being on social media, I was able to see like who life was looking kind of different, not really like what was always, portrayed. And that really made me make sure I look inwards to make sure I'm using my platform to really talk about, the highs and lows of the lifestyle that I am living and that I want to be living, and kind of hopefully talk about the process more so people can learn from my process, because I definitely learn from other people's processes. So I think that clarity really came to me, that I didn't that I can be happy here with the minimalist, when I really honed into those 7 different types of wealth and realized the other ways that I was rich. Like, I'm spiritually rich, whether it's the resources I use, like my tarot cards, crystals, meditation, yoga, talking to my ancestors, like
Mhm.
whether it's that or physically my body being healthy, what I put into my body. I'm working on my fruitarian goal, like to strictly be on my fruit thing. So that physically makes me feel good. So I really like am tapped into 5 out of 7 fully and working on the other 2.
Mhm. Word, okay. So even breaking down out, you mentioned spiritually, and so the spiritual form of that currency is peace.
Yeah.
So, and someone can look at you right now and be like, man, you smiling, you glowing. I don't know if it's you shining or the sun shining or like what's going on, but like it's a lot of glow going on. So you definitely in a state of peace, which is powerful. And I think another one that we're dealing with, you can tell me how you're processing this form of wealth, but time. And
Yeah.
time, the currency for time is freedom.
Right.
So do you have the choice to do what you want to do? Like, and I think what's crazy, I mentioned this to you on some quantum physics stuff. I get weirded out with you sometimes, and you allow me to, so I appreciate it. But if you were, Erinesha, let's say you were a twin, right?
Okay.
And you're not a twin, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a twin.
Okay. So if you were a twin, if when you were born, like let's say you you stayed on Earth, but your other twin got on a rocket ship, like at the speed that a rocket ship goes into space, that other twin would not age as much as you.
Uh-huh.
So by the time, so you would get out of your baby phase before that baby on the rocket ship. And the other crazy part is if it went at like the speed of light, and when now we even be talking about energy, equals this mass times speed of light and all that other stuff. But like if it went at the speed of light, that baby you would never age. It would be a baby like 20 plus years later, like you would be where you at, and the baby would still be a baby. So what
Yeah.
that means is like, and all that to cut through all the whatever spooky stuff is like time is a construct. Like there's a way to break time. And I think when you're really in your zone, when you really in that what we call a vibe, like and that could be whether you listening to a song, that could be whether you doing yoga, you could be playing a sport, you could be reading a book, it could be a Saturday or Sunday where you're not bounded by other restrictions, like, and that's a timeless vibe. And
Right.
all of that kind of ties into, okay, you have broken those boundaries. And I think now, with people, like you said, the world's slowing down, people not necessarily having to go to work. Some people may have even been laid off or furloughed, but they have found like, oh, but I get to be with my kids a little more often. I get to be with my significant other. I get to read. I get to do tutorials. I get to do some yoga. You know what I'm saying? With Anisha, like I get to think about, being a brand ambassador or I get to think about launching my own business. Like you got time now to like think and to feel. And that's
Mhm.
that's everything. There's an infinite, and there's something else in like quantum physics, but it's like there's like a universal set of like it's infinite possibilities. That's why
Yeah.
when they talk about energy, even in science, they was like it's potential and then it's kinetic. But it's like if I pull my fist back and I ain't punching nobody, it's potential. There's a lot stored up, and this 6 pounds of pressure. You know what I'm saying? But then there's action if I were to punch. And it's the same with what we got going on. So when you said I'm where I'm supposed to be, you have either the right balance of action that's happening or the right level of potential. So you can feel that I'm where I'm supposed to be, not because I'm gonna be here all my life, That's what
Right.
evolution is about. But because I have the right vehicle, you know what I'm saying, the mind, body, and spirit to go where I need to go. And the beauty is not the destination, the beauty is the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and when you can really identify with that, like, and not even be like, some people kind of be lying to themselves and be like, yeah, it's the spiritual this and this. It's like you're not really feeling it, you're not really that happy,
Right.
and it's a balance. So when we're in these human bodies, like, it's not going to be the happiest experiences, but we choose that, because
Mm-hmm.
anything that you choose, like this life, what you're going to be guaranteed is you're going to feel something and you're going to experience it. Those are going to be your guarantees. And we know the best movies, the best experiences is when you have a challenge and you got to break through. Like, you can't break through something if it doesn't break. So anything that we see, from stocks to people's relationships, it's never just up, 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 up. It's always up, then it comes down a little bit, then it goes up a little more, and it goes down a little bit. Like, that's what stocks look like. That's what
Right.
somebody's business growth looks like. That's what a lot of our patterns in life look like. So that time, um, that's the utopia, when you can feel in a moment during the day where, like, I don't even, and some people waking up, they like, I don't know what day it is. Is it Thursday? Is it Saturday? Like, they feeling that way, or they got time now. Like, you actually can chill, you can relax, like, you can figure out some stuff, you can soak in what life is really about. So how wealthy are you when it comes to that time currency in terms of freedom, and what does that mean?
Woo! That's like my most full. That's
Okay.
definitely on the top of the list, and like it's really due to the time that I put in already. Like, you've been, seeing from the beginning. Like, it's been 7 years of working on my brand, and at this
Hmm.
point, with having, like, being able to really sit with it, that has provided me so much freedom. The past 2019, the past year, being able to have recruited my team the way I did, that also within this time gave me back freedom. I hired an executive personal assistant over this time that gave me some freedom. So time is not even like, I'm just happy to be in time, like, and to be in the moment of it. I think that's what the key is a lot of times, is being present. Because when I find
Hmm.
myself worried, or when I find myself in fear of something, or not feeling happy, it's because I'm thinking about something that was either in the past or something I'm worried about in the future. But then if I just pull myself back to the present and acknowledge something as small as a pretty little bird laying outside the window that I ain't never seen before, like, whatever, and that'd be the smallest thing to then just shift my awareness that quick, and then I'm starting to, oh, I'm comfortable, I just ate, I'm not hungry, then I start to really think about the good stuff that's happening in the present moment and not live in the past or the future. And then that gives me time to, like, slow down, to really think about what it is that I need to do. I'm not rushing for any reason, because I've done what I had to do and set up my stuff to where it's in order. I'm not
Hmm.
feeling like I'm, having to be rushed for anything. So I gave myself freedom to move how I want to move throughout my days. One thing that's really big for me, yesterday was the last new moon. We had 4 new moons this month in a row, and yesterday was the last one. And I sat and I meditated for like an hour, and I came into the conclusion of shifting my schedule, my morning and nighttime schedule, completely. I was trying to hold myself to 6 a.m. and sometimes I would make it, but I wouldn't always make it. But I always get up before 10 a.m., like, all the time. Never lay in bed past 10. So during my meditation, I had realized that I just need to shift my schedule. So yesterday was my first day doing it, but I went to sleep, which I'm up late usually anyway. But I decided my nighttime ritual would start at 3 a.m. So from 3 to 4 a.m., I'm doing my nighttime ritual. At 4 a.m., I'm going to go to sleep, and then I wake up at 9 a.m. And then when I wake up at 9 a.m., I could do my morning time ritual from 9 to 10 a.m. and then just be up until 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. because I am anyway. So that was amazing for the day today, because I did that today and I know that's going to work. So that's going to change the game even more and just give me back even more freedom, that, adding to
Mm.
that time factor of everything.
Wow. Okay. That's when you mention that, like, you're getting, I think when it comes to, it's three things that I think about when it comes to energy. One, energy, and that's everything. So it's the infinite, it's the finite, everything going on, that's energy. So meditation, that's energy, your business, that's energy, all of that. Then you have like vibe. So the vibe is, what is that spark that allows for it to work? And the more you create, so when we talk about vibe in terms of hip hop, it's like, oh, somebody kind of, they spitting, so they, and even, from whatever, the even like freestyles, and just people's songs, you can actually get that. And even if it's a, oh man, going live, slick talk, talking big moves, we talking evolution, we talking big booms, and it's like, oh, what you about to, so now I'm in a rhythm, what I'm saying? And it's coming. So like that's a vibe. Like that came out of the future, was fast forwarded, and I processed it, and I think right now we're dealing with some time situations of like the future's being fast forwarded. But when you can find that vibe, and you talked about this new morning regimen that you got, now you in a vibe. And I think that so that's a rhythm that's working for you. And that's like dope. Like, and we, every area of life, there can be a time we look at it and be like, I made some money that week, and then I made some money again. And it was like, I felt it. Or I had one brand ambassador for Slick, and then five of them joined, and then they was in different coasts, so that's a vibe. And I think after that, the third element is frequency. And that's like, what's that, that's that space in which you become unstoppable. So even this, I'm gonna share this. This is a crazy story with well, my son. But there was one Sunday, and I woke up early and read a book. It's called The Secret Science. I finished it. It was talking on some natural spiritual laws. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a workout with my son because he plays basketball, but I'm going to make it spiritual. So sometimes I can be tough on him, be like, oh, it's 1,000 shots, and we don't exercises and this, that, he don't be trying to hear that. But I was like, I want to make this a spiritual, shoot around. And so when we were going there, I was like, I told him the energy, vibe, frequency. I'm like, so if energy is basketball, what's a vibe for shooting? Like he was like, when you make like two or three in a row, it's like, boom, okay, it's working. You in a rhythm. So what would be that frequency where you would be unstoppable? And he was like, probably 10 in a row. And we shoot threes, to get the shot. So I'm like, that. So I've told him that before, but by me approaching it from a different way on some spiritual stuff, it made it feel different. And granted, he got two or three, and we did it for about 2 hours. And before we left the gym, he made like 19 in a row. And it was unstoppable. And my whole thing is like, once you perfect your motion and your vibe, and you get to a space where you make like 10 in a row, it doesn't matter if I put 10 people at you, if I got whoever, like, it's over, it's done, and that's that utopia, that euphoric that we kind of reach for and we experience it in moments. But Erinesha, and you're going to remember this, because we linked up that day before and connecting, was talking. We did a real spiritual experience talk, broke basketball down, and later on that afternoon, we found out that Kobe Bryant had died in the helicopter crash. And it was just like, and for me, and even my son, because it was like, this was very different. Why were we talking spirituality and energy and vibe and frequency this morning shooting? And we were referencing the type of energy that certain players possess, i.e. Michael Jordan, Kobe, Steph. And we were breaking down if they were fire, if they were more wind, if they were water. And he hearing me out, but he like, dude, like, give me the ball, let me shoot. But when that happened, it was a pause for the cause, because not only was it sad and shocking and devastating, but it was like we had something else going on. And that, to me, when I talk about success is experiencing the miraculous, it's like you can have those moments, you can have those ideas. That realization you had when you were like, oh, let me adjust my schedule, let me get on this real early morning vibe and roll into my morning, the way that it's gonna make, that's success right there. You could have been like, yo, I figured out something in the universe. You know what I'm saying? I can take this, apply it for the rest of my life. That's what's up. And it's an infinite amount of ways to level up, in that way, and so many of those other ways, that we break down too. So that's what's up. Let me ask you this. How do you process what's going on in the world where there is a virus? People are getting sick. Many people have lost their lives. How does that fit in your process of what's evolution and what's going on in the world and how you even take it. Um,
Yeah, for sure. I that part when I'm pushing myself to be present was definitely involved in that over the past quarantine days is remembering that it's not just me in this world. Like that's the part of like understanding that I have all the time in the world to complete my mission, right? What is the mission? What is the why? And my why is really tied to economic growth and development and the culture. So having the understanding that I have the time to complete my mission, that's why this situation don't fear me or why I'm not scared of it or, I know this ain't the end of, the world type of thing. So with being present, I also remind myself that my mission is about the people that's, not living how I'm living, trying to elevate those people that are not where I'm at in my mind space. So I think connecting to people that are in those environments or like a lot of teachers, especially because I was doing a lot of speaking in high schools and middle schools before all of this happened. So connecting with those teachers to see what kind of resources I can provide or bring in or implement when we get into a comfortable space of being around each other so that the youth are getting what they need. And then getting on live with them, having conversations with them because the youth and people are connected to their platform. So without being able to go out and do anything, I've been doing that. But then I also have been spending a lot of time on my team because I do have the team that I have and the size that it is. Really making sure that they're filled, I think helps everybody else because they're serving people at the same time. So if I'm serving them to make sure that they're good and then they're serving everybody, on their end that, pours over from what they're doing. So making sure I spend my scheduled and protected time to connect with them as well as the slick virtual series that we came up with over this time allows us time to get social with each other via Zoom, or other virtual ways with our lives and everything like that. So I think my purpose at the end of the day is really aligned with keeping people connected in different ways. So really being able to figure out how, not only now, but moving forward, can we be connected? Because I don't think the social way of living that we were in the past will be in our future. People will continue to be more mindful now of how they're engaging with people, who they're engaging with, which it should have been in the beforehand, people surrounding themselves around people that are toxic and stuff like that. And we had to put it on pause for a minute. So I think that it's okay that as we move forward, we're not going to be as, surrounded. And the world needs that, right? Like, have you seen the
mm,
air in LA recently? Like, it done cleared up. Like, we don't need to be in these big
mm,
clusters of groups of people when it's not purposeful. If it's
mm,
purposeful, and I found that my more intimate events and intimate experiences that are not as like jam packed has been most purposeful for people in their purpose and their mission and their growth and their development. So as I move forward, I'm just making sure that I'm not figuring out something to do right now, but I'm making sure that my plan of what I'm working on that will work right now also works as we move forward into what the new future has for us. So
mm.
yeah, I've been trying to stay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, that's and when you talk about this shift and what's so cool, you also said that one, I had to find myself and, stabilize where I was at with it. And then two, because you're saying I'm good, I'm okay, I'm stable in all the ways I need to be, I'm where I need to be, then you're like, let me channel some of this energy and get that out to others that can use it. And it reminds me of what the sun does. Like, and a lot of times people, when they have just one way of looking at success, and it's like, am I the richest in the room? Can I call a shot? Can I be that, like, you're the big man on campus? But it's like, if you were the big man on campus, if you had all the money to stunt all over everybody, like, what would that, on a level a billion times greater than that, would be like the power that the sun has. Like
Mm,
power, I mean, if the sun shifted a mile backwards, like we would freeze to death. If it came a mile forward, we would burn. Like it
yeah.
can, and we getting all our light, our heat, our electricity, all of that stuff that our body really needs. Like we
Mhm.
get that, and our world gets it from the sun. but the sun ain't stunting. It ain't like blinding us like for no reason. Like, it's like I have all this power and I'm just going to do what I do. I'm going to keep providing you as much heat as possible. I'm going to keep things, in place where you can rotate around me. I'm going to provide this electricity and this energy. So I think that's the higher self that we have in us to say, yeah, okay, I'm good, I'm straight, or I'm better than ever. How does that help somebody else? And with you being, I always commend you for being a social entrepreneur because it's like I'm going to balance. Yes, I'm going to secure my bags and this and that, but I'm going to help empower you to secure a bag. I'm going to empower you to be a healthier person. And that's what it's supposed to be an exchange. Like it's not supposed to be I give you some and then I come up because I got your money. It's like that money's supposed to mean something. So when you have somebody does a yoga practice, workout, it's like you should have gotten fulfilled. You should have gotten this experience, and it was like that was worth it. Take the money or whatever, like I'm getting at it. Same when I go to a store. It's like, no, I'm not chopping up the cows and I'm not, no, you did all that. I'm gonna get, everything packaged and here's the money for it. But it should be an equal exchange and we should think of everything that we do, even outside of money, as like an exchange. Every time I talk to you, I get just as much as I may share. So I think that's it. And I think this quote that stands out to me, it says that there are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen. And
Mm-hmm.
possibly for the first time in our lives, we're seeing decades happen within matters of weeks. Like in the last 4 weeks, we've seen something happen with the world and the economy and people's lives, in spiritually growing ways and also in very devastating ways that we still try to figure out. And that's what we're dealing with. The future is definitely being fast forwarded on a lot of different levels. But I think with that spiritual centering that you always have, probably one of the hardest understandings to have, but one of the most powerful is to know that this is a spiritual experience, and all this other stuff is temporary. Like it's like that is something greater that we're made up of. And so when we look at tragedies, and this has probably been a good aha moment for me during this time period, but it's something greater, and we're in a vehicle where we're not going to know everything, we don't control everything, we don't, but to know that there's actually um a space in which like it's from a spiritual perspective, everything is phenomenal. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a tragedy when we look at it only from a human. Like if you think of a tsunami, what's talked about is, oh, the people that lost their lives. But if there were no people on the earth, like with a tsunami, like the world is doing, the tides were doing what they needed to do. Like they were recalibrating, same with a earthquake if need, like that's what the earth needed. Nobody's like, oh, the concrete, it split apart. Like it wouldn't be that thought process if humans weren't involved. So granted, humans are involved, so we should do everything as humans to preserve life as best as we can. But I think there's a high understanding that it's something bigger and deeper than us. And as we transition from state to state, like one thing with energy is not created or destroyed. It just moves from transitions from one state to another. And
Right.
like that's the universal law. Like, just like gravity, that's a universal principle that we deal with, in this plane. And it's just cool to be, to grow and evolve into like a oneness of that type of understanding. And sometimes it's not even articulating it, it's just knowing that there's a higher good and higher places that can be invisible, what I'm saying, to us, but are very much accessible now. So I'm still going back to your revelation where you said I'm where I need to be, like, cause you can go all over the world, you still got yourself and the universe within you to operate in ways that best service you as a server to others, so that yeah, that's what are you seeing in the culture, with some culture connoisseurs. So if anything from social media standpoint, hip hop standpoint, black culture standpoint? How do you feel? And let me ask, when you see challenges occurring in black culture, for example, with the virus, more blacks as a percentage are being affected than other races in this country. And so at one point it was 50% of the cases that of deaths were of blacks, and I think now it's allegedly, 30%, but we only make up 13% of the population. So it's twice as much as other cultures and ethnicities. So, and you'll see, when it comes to prison and incarceration, like we make up the majority, over 50%. When it comes to abortions, 50% of abortions are of blacks, in this country. So we over index in a lot of these things that don't seem to really serve our higher good, but it's all a challenge. And throughout history, as people of color, we've been challenged. But how do you view that challenge from a spiritual lens as something that is necessary to go through, some place where we need to be at to evolve where we need to go?
Yeah. I definitely want to like big shout out to all the like activist leaders, like the people that's like been leading, that's been doing it, bringing information to platforms, teaching, and like that are continuing with their message and the information throughout all of this, and like it being like on that, on the message, on the mission, providing the resources and not necessarily, too much toxic information, but making sure we staying updated and putting out things that we're able to use during all of this downtime. Um, I'm gonna just go ahead and put my my conspiracy theories out first, before I dive in. But I think that one, if we try to deny the fact that there is a depopulation situation that's happening, like that's crazy. So I think that that's one of the main things it is outside of the 5G situation, which is also connected to depopulation. That's just my
Mhm.
theory. So I think this is ultimately for our culture should have been an awakening of the fact, if you're not already woke, that we are at war. We've been at war. We still at war. And we're going through these things. And I think that the universe is on our side with everything. And that's been a confirmation for our culture. And if we really get in alignment with who we were as far as the power that we have as these energies that we are, the lights that we are, the melanin that we have inside of us, I think that we'll realize that ultimately we can be in a better space than we was after all of this. We have lost a lot, and I feel like I'm gonna channel my inner Malcolm X right now. We talk about revolutions, and without, there's been no revolutions without serious losses. So I understand that at the same time, and I'm sorry for people that did lose loved ones through all of this, but I think now if we really open our eyes to what it is in whole and know this is an attack of the immune system and really work on that and know that we have the power to, have an immune system that nothing can fuck with. And no matter if anything come in contact with it, we're going to be good. And hopefully, like what I've been doing, because I'm the strong one in my family when it comes to my health and stuff like that, I got my family on a Zoom meeting. We had one family member affected who received it, and she's with child. So right now she's good, but I got all my family on a Zoom meeting for us to have a conversation. And now it's a regularly scheduled meeting, and we have assignments for the week, and then we come back on a meeting. We talk about, so I think that hopefully the strong people in their family, not just coming to social media, but they're also looking at their inner family circles and making sure that the people inside of their family are doing the things that they're supposed to be doing moving forward too. And I think that the situation have helped family members to listen. I don't think that a lot of my family members would hop on that Zoom call if this pandemic situation wasn't happening. So I think that it shook some people up for them to listen at the same time. So yeah, the culture I think can really rise from this if we stay focused. I don't know the numbers. I don't watch the news. I don't have a TV in my space. I tap in, like when it was first happening, I would go to YouTube live news and catch it every now and then. I'll hear stuff that people bring to me. but I'm not too tapped in on the numbers, the statistic. I have a father that's incarcerated. I talk to him, so I know it ain't all good in there. And I wouldn't doubt that. That's some funny stuff going on. But I also believe that numbers of deaths and stuff have been elevated and reported. I believe that people have been coming saying that they wasn't even tested, but they was marked positive. So I do think some funny stuff going on, but at the same time, we could use it to our advantage if we don't be blinded by all the clouds.
Hmm. Okay, you drop you drop some serious stuff like as you always do, and that's you're right. Like on some real stuff like this, and there's always various different types. Like we talk about the seven different forms of wealth. There are various forms of war. So
Mm.
you can have a biochemical type of war. I think we very much are dealing with. You can have spiritual war. And that very much is the case. And I think was so dope about what you mentioned of what you're doing. You took on leadership in your family, and I shared a post on my page, and I have a lot of young guys that follow me because my son, he's in high school, and I said pretty much when this happened, my message to pretty much young black males, and I think it applies to young black females and just our culture, is like congratulations, like this is manhood, this is womanhood, this is adulthood. If you've been wanting to kind of live that adult life, like, and this is it, you're needed. Everything you was going through in school, like all that science, yeah, we need to find cures, like, and need to understand. This is why you want to know what the central nervous system doing, the your respiration, and all of that, and your lungs. That's why you need to be listening in class. When you want to think about math and statistics, that's why you need to know, what's going on, and to break through that. And you need knowledge to do that, but all to say that they need to step up. I found that, and for you, what you shared when you said I'm coordinating Zoom chats, and I'm sure the people who are listening probably have done something on some levels where they stepped out in their family or in their circles a little more. And I found, times where I had to do that for mine in ways, but it's like you stepped into a matriarch position. And not that you're trying to get clout for that. You want the family reunion to be named after Erinesha Hamilton, yet now. But like and this is something that Navy SEALs do. I love to kind of study how they move because I think it's very strategic and effective. One thing is that they move with speed, surprise, and like overwhelming violence, and not to be violent, but like it's that movement. But something else that reminded me of you is when you talked about, taking that leadership role, they have a kind of an inherent rule that if they're somewhere and they're, looking to, capture someone, and they have several people that are Navy SEALs there, at any given point when a person knows what to do, because they can be in the dark, the wrong right move can set off the wrong triggers. And, somebody, whoever knows what to do in the next step, they step ahead. So that leader is not always, oh, I'm the leader, everybody follow me, and everybody follow my. It's like, no, you need speed. We need surprise. We need, if you know it. So right now, if you like, yo, if you stepped up to the family and you stepping up to, me and others and say, hey, I know this wealth stuff. I know you need some ginger. I know you need some lemon. I know you need some, some hot beverages. I know you need, some of that. If you got that recipe, it's like everybody need to back up. Anisha right there, she gonna drop the nutrients in the diet that we adhere to, and grandma and uncle Philotis and whoever else, like y'all need to listen up, and that's the leader right now. And when it comes to another element within our culture, step up, and that's the way leadership should be. I don't think it always has to be defined, and we had our own conversations in OMG just about leadership, and we tried to have a leaderless leading, group, but like that's powerful, for you to be as young as you, probably one of the younger people, amongst your relatives, but you took control, and you
Yeah.
took control without having to say, oh, I'm about to drop this bread, or I'm about to make it's like, yo, right now we're dealing with a very much a chemical war, with something that's attacking our immune systems. I ain't coughed or sneezed in the last 5 years. Like, y'all listen to me, you know. And I'm gonna get you right, you know. But y'all, yeah, and it's when it's time for something else to, you know, come into play. You know, your brother can step up and be like, yo, then he's a super fit dude. So between y'all, when it comes to the exercise, and he's like, hey, fellas, you need to drop 15 pounds this week. I know how to get you right. Everybody need to follow your brother, you know. So that's, I think that the opportunity to step into leadership is very powerful, you know. So I know Instagram and Mark Zuckerberg, they be kicking people out at the hours. I know we probably like 10 minutes or so, but yeah, props to you for doing that, Erinesha. I think you've been a leader on so many levels with your business, and for you to say that with your family, everybody, especially if you're on Instagram, more than likely you're a little younger than not, like in relation to your entire family. Study what's going on and connect, like you said, and help lead because we need it. We all need it.
For sure. Lead with me, don't follow me is the motto. Let's do it.
I like that. I like that. Lead with me. Okay. That's what's
Right.
up. I love it. So everybody's on that front line together. It
Yeah,
ain't okay. Okay. I love that. That's
for
what
sure. We
that's
have to
parallel
protect our
too.
power people. People down here really impacting the culture because they have that finance, and this is why finance is so important. Like people that are part of our culture that have that finances, you know, like a Nipsey Hussle, you know, they are trying to take out our people that do have the finances that making the impact within the community. So we do have to protect those people and not necessarily have them on the front line, but making sure that we are holding them responsible and accountable for the actions, you know, that are happening within our community. So I think that that's political science and all that other topics we're gonna be able to get into in our future. But I'm so happy to connect with you. We so used to doing this in person, but this was
Mm-hmm.
good. This is good. This feels just even
Yeah.
much
The energy
connected.
transfers beyond the physical, so our energy and presence can project way beyond. So it's just as if we were connected in so many ways. So it's good for us to be versatile. And thanks for leading the way as well. This is probably your umpteenth, live, so you very much embrace the virtual new normal, and that's dope. And what I'm gonna do for even just your followers and for you, because I know you love enlightenment, I'm gonna send this book by PDF for free. So it's gonna be free. Anybody gotta pay nothing, I'm gonna send it to you. So if they need it, they can DM you. It's called Hustlenomics, but it's actually business lessons learned from Nipsey Hussle. So I don't know. Did I send it to you?
No, you haven't. That would
Okay,
be
so I'll be sending it as soon as we get off this live, and you'll have that. Yeah, and share, because it drops some good gems, on that. So you bringing him up, he definitely was a leader. And the good thing is when you're a leader and you have like a strong presence, like you're able to capture things that live on forever, and that's what we need to do: share that knowledge of things that can live on.
right. I was trying to bring up your book. I bought your book recently. Well, actually, I was showing your book to one of my mentors and one of my creative
Oh,
directors,
there you
and
go.
he bought your book for me. And so I cannot wait to
Word.
come back to get
I
it.
really appreciate it. That's what's up. Yeah, it's called Dope Black Boy, the Rich Black Man. But yeah, thanks for grabbing. I keep them things in the trunk, so I could, if I didn't know you had one, you totally would. You're gonna get an extra one from me next time we see each
Yeah, I
other.
want to
You
support
can
my
get
friend. I felt good. I felt good. He got it. I was like, we supported my friend. So I was like,
Wow, I really appreciate that. And tell them that means a lot. So
yeah, for
good
sure. I
stuff.
cannot wait to read it, but I don't want us to tap us out and then we lose all of our good content because people need the information. So thank you
Mhm.
so much. Every life matters. And this was great catching up with you.
It was, and continue being just the phenomenal leader that you are. Extremely proud of you. Glad that we get to lead with you. But you by far a shining, star in this culture. So
Thank you.
props.
Thank you so much. Tell your family I think you tapped in. I wanna go through the process of growing out my hair. I just shaved it off. So I'm gonna be tapping with her on the products for sure.
Okay, no doubt. Naturalistas, natural hair, Black Girl Magic Movement, like for
All
sure.
right. All right, bye.
All right, peace.